Hello, welcome back to Tommy's Top Picks Weekly Roundup Podcast, episode 28. I'm your host, Tommy, joined by John.
How's it going?
Good. It's going to be a fun podcast. We're going to be talking about the hype cycle of cardboard and how different games and companies navigate their hype cycle to get and keep people interested in their games, how it's working for some and not working for others, and how people are still trying to figure out their own hype cycles. And yeah, I think it should be an interesting topic to dive into.
Yeah, especially with all these new games coming out this past year or two, and the varying market trends and all that. I think it all plays into it, and it'll be interesting to see how we all navigate it over the next year or so.
Absolutely. But we are quickly approaching 200 subscribers, so we are running out of runway for people to get in and potentially win our 200 sub giveaway. We are giving away a King in Black King in Black number 1 9.8 signed by Ryan Stegman and Donnie Cates, CGC graded. Very cool comic book. All you have to do to enter it is to watch our top 5 comic videos of the week and leave a comment down below of what your top pick for that week would be. So pretty easy to give away. Oh, and you have to live in the United States so that we can mail it to you, because international mailing is a thing that is very expensive.
Yeah, right now, very expensive.
Probably worth more.
Just more for shipping than the actual comic usually. It's crazy,
but
crazy times.
So how was your week? We pulled a bunch of stuff.
Yeah,
you pulled your Fable, right? You pulled your first Fable.
No, shush, Tommy, shush. No, actually, I pulled almost nothing. I did get some trades in though, so I'm up to 5 of the Marvel dragons. So that's like my big hype right now. And I didn't tell you this. I started putting the binder together. So I don't know if anyone watched my collection video. I had a bunch of them in the hard cases, the hard plastic card
I did the
things.
Same thing the other day.
I pulled them all out, and they're all sorted into the binder with gaps for things that I need to get. So I'm feeling very good about it. It's pretty sweet. So getting close, and that's because I wanted to redo my shelf. So I pulled down all the Everfest and Aria stuff, and now I'm putting up the dragons. So very excited about that, and the magic cards I got from our patron David, which was awesome. So all that stuff's going up there, but it's a lot of work. I have a lot of cards.
Yeah, it was. I don't know. There's something to be said about flipping through a binder like that.
It's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
When you showed me yours, that was the first time I was like, okay, I get it. And then I just kind of ignored it after that, but it was always in the back of my head. And then when this cycle came around, I was like, oh man, a whole group of Marvel dragons. How can I not have a page full of dragons?
Right.
That just seems like a great idea. They won't be this set. It will be once the next set comes out, I'll pull them down and they'll go in the binder. But
right.
I'm into it. I like the idea of cycling things out each set. It's fun. It's fun. So having fun with that.
Absolutely.
But yeah, other than that, I didn't pull anything fancy. I even bought some cards after our draft. Bought some packs, and I didn't pull anything. Terrible. I have the worst luck for myself.
Yeah. In draft, the only thing I pulled was a cold foil miter.
Oh, only just a cold foil. It's fine. I'm not envious.
A few cold foils that you can actually play with in draft, which I found fun.
That's right.
That and the Ash, and is there anything else? I guess the Marvel Phoenix Flame you could do.
Yeah, because those are all just token.
Yeah.
Yeah, or token or auto include, like the miter is auto include for everyone.
Right.
Yeah.
I think it is token. I think it is a token.
That's true. Yeah, I think you're right. Yep. Yeah, it's one of the double-sided tokens. Yep. Rare though, it's hard to come by.
Yeah.
So save those up for your boxes and bring them to your draft night, because it definitely comes in handy.
Absolutely. But yeah, so we played draft, which was a lot of fun.
That was fun. I really enjoyed it. I was halfway through drafting, and I was like, oh, I cannot wait to do this again. Yeah, everyone at the table's like, yeah, me too, man. Yeah, me too. Everyone's very excited to play.
Oh, it was awesome. Yeah, I'm looking
forward. I didn't do very well. I did okay. I did better than I would have expected, but point being that it didn't matter. It was still a lot of fun.
Yeah, and I'm missing this week because I'm away, but the following week we'll be draft again, so that's exciting.
Yep. Yeah. It's Blitz this week, so you're not going to miss too much.
No.
I'll probably pull out Valda. I think that's what I'm going to go.
I think that would be really interesting.
Just for fun. Like, I don't care if
Absolutely.
I win or lose, but the Sift fills in that gap. Because remember, I had those 2 blues that I even asked everyone. I was like, how do I even use these? And everyone's like, you can't really. They don't really work.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, they just were filler. And so now the Sift is a perfect filler, you know, because that's
Absolutely.
great.
Yeah.
Works with her very well. So, very excited to try that out.
Mm-hmm.
Anywho, yeah. Any other games? I think I had some before draft. I got a couple of games on TTS, but other than that, nothing too much.
Yeah, just some TTS practice. Messing around with trying to figure out if I want to take, like at the next big event that we go to, if I want to take Briar or Phi. Not sure yet.
CC, you're talking about?
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah. I'll tell you, after seeing all these Road to National results, I'm really getting pulled towards Dromai. Like, I think Viserai is good and everything, and I think I would be more comfortable with him because he's, I play a lot of Runeblade, so he's familiar. But I'm really tempted to just say screw it and play some dragons. Like, why not? I'll probably lose a lot, but I might learn something.
I wonder what the mirror's like.
Tough from what I hear.
Yeah.
So, very exciting stuff. But yeah, Dromai's winning a lot. It's a pretty good meta so far. It's hard to say because Road to Nationals are somewhat, localized in how their meta works. But we have Phi, Dromai, Lexi, Rhinar, all sorts of different decks are winning. So yeah, Bravo, Levia even won one. Like it's nutty. So it seems like there's a wide variety of possible ways to get there. I don't know if that's just representative of the meta being really balanced or if it's just people don't know how to play into certain things, or you know what I mean. It's a new set, everyone's figuring stuff out. We haven't solved anything yet, so curious to see how this pans out over the season, but I'm watching it closely because it's very exciting to see.
Yeah, and even just how to play the pre-existing heroes into the uprising heroes.
Yeah, it's definitely a thing. It's definitely a thing to know how to do. I think Dromai's taking advantage of it. I thought it was going to be Phi. I think we said this last week. I thought it was going to be Phi because zero cost go again is easy mode, it seems. But the reality is apparently not that easy because there's enough people that know how to handle aggro decks, and Phi is very much an aggro archetype. Right, whereas Dromai, people are like, I don't know how to handle dragons that are alive and I have to hit them, and it's a different way to negotiate. It's not Prism, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I mean, once people figure out how to just block the second attack that Phi does, like let the first one through, block the second one, now you're forcing them to get to Chainlink 5 before they can even think about the mask triggering.
Yeah, exactly.
And
pretty standard ninja shutdown. I heard someone's trying to build Phi into Ninja Turtle. Now I'm not super familiar with this, but the idea is it's a defensive ninja that does the little combo wombo at some key point. Very curious how that plays out, because using some of the old tech, old thought processes into this new rupture / massive go again chain
at that point then.
Well, because I imagine there's some advantages under Phi. Again, I'm not familiar with it, so we'll see how it goes. Yeah, I mean, some of that Draconic stuff is just powerhouse compared to old Ninja cards. But if
you're turtling and you're pulling Phoenix Flames don't block.
Don't block. It's a good point. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know the archetype.
Like if they blocked for 2, that would be nuts. Because then you can just keep pulling it out of your graveyard, block for 2, pull it out of your graveyard, block for 2, pull it out. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Like I said, I just heard people are working on trying to figure it out. So it's a thing, and maybe it'll be a big thing. Maybe that's what this... it's a Van Saint Phi. Interesting. He's played multiple Road to Nationals. He won with Levia, and then you won with Phi. I just noticed that. Interesting. Huh. Curious. Well, we'll have to see how the meta evolves. Anyways.
Do we want to dive into the main topic?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So our main topic again is hype cycles and how different games go about hyping up their products. We're going to talk about Magic, Metazoo, Flesh and Blood, Pokemon, Sorcery, and Grand Archive. These are kind of the games that we talk about a lot, or the majority on our channel. It's mainly Flesh and Blood, but we do sometimes talk about the other ones. and we follow their hype cycles and thought this might be an interesting discussion. So we'll
Yeah.
start with Magic. They have a pretty standard hype cycle of announcing something, showing one or two cards, and then it going into hibernation until the true hype cycle, like it gets into full swing and they start showing off all the cards. But it's been coming pretty fast and loose because
Yeah.
by the time one hype cycle ends, there's another one beginning for the new set that comes out in just a couple weeks.
Yeah.
And
It's because they're doing the standard and non-standard sets kind of like near each other, and the print runs got messed up. You can't forget that. That also had an impact on some of this, because I think the original calendar, there was a little bit of a gap, but then several of the off-standard sets got pushed
But
like
those
by a
haven't
month
come
or
out yet.
something. No, they did. Masters was one of them, and then the unset ended up getting pushed completely off. So that's going to be in the middle of like fall. It's going to totally mess everything up. And then what was
And
the other one? There was
product that
another-
I was waiting for is just the Commander Legend or the Commander decks for Warhammer got pushed.
Oh yeah, that got pushed too. But they were showing off some of that stuff for a while. Like, so
Yeah, exactly.
It's just chaos on the Magic side of things. I will say the big thing, I think, the big takeaway that you see this year with Magic is that it's like continual. You're always getting card reveals pretty much all the time, except for release week of a set. They're going to be revealing something.
Yeah.
So far this year.
They should play.
I don't know. It's interesting to be able to have something to look at all the time, but it definitely gives you that feeling of, if everything's a brand new thing to be excited about, is it really exciting, right? You just kind of tune it out.
I mean, with
Now-
how much they're revealing stuff, they should just play Corsham.
That's terrible. I hate you. That was a horrible pun, and someone leave Tommy a comment about that. I'm sure you guys love it.
Yeah, you're gonna
God
believe
damn it,
that
Tommy.
that was the best. That was the best pun drop.
That was a pretty
Flesh and blood puns. Here they come.
That was pretty good. That was pretty good. I just hated it, but I also am not a fan of silly puns. Anyways, yeah, but I mean, it's interesting. I think part of what's going to happen is people are going to learn to tune out and tune in as they want. And I think it's already starting to happen.
Yeah.
So, for example, I know some people that did not give a crap about Commander or Legend
Right.
at all. And they didn't pay attention to it at all, including when it was like hyped and then flopped. Like, no, they just didn't even care. And then I know other people who are 100% behind the whole D&D Magic crossover thing. Like, they love it. And they were all over it, right? And they don't give a crap about double masters except for the one card or two cards they need for their commander deck, right? So they're just buying the single out of it when the prices come down. And that's what they're watching. So it's like, I think that's a good thing that people are kind of, the community is bifurcating, you know, into who cares about different things.
Right.
It's the only way this can be sustained. If that doesn't happen, everyone's going to get burnt out. It's definitely falling away from I buy every single thing that comes out by Magic. I don't think there's many people that can keep sustaining that.
Well, no, but you also have to think about the majority of Magic players aren't long-term Magic players.
You think they're all new?
I think the turnover rate of Magic players is pretty high. Like there are a lot of people that stick with it no matter what, and they're always around. But those people aren't the people that are buying every set.
No, they aren't. You're right. The people that are buying every set in general are either your collector types, because they're the only ones I can see having a reason to buy every set.
Right.
The long-term players, I think they just buy the standard, right? They stick because they're your
Or
Friday
if
Night
they're
Magic crowd.
Or if they're modern players, they buy the modern stuff. Or if they're commanders,
And the modern stuff's like once a year, though. There's not really that much modern specific stuff.
right.
I don't
And so
think.
they buy. That's the set they buy, and then they buy singles throughout the year.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, as the meta shifts.
Mm-hmm.
So it's interesting. It's definitely full fire hose all the time. Magic hype.
Yeah, which wasn't always the case.
Definitely not. Definitely not. Like I said, I don't mind. Now that we're bifurcation, it's like these are the things you care about because that's what you care about.
Right.
It's tough on me because I do want to buy at least a box of everything, or I'm trying to. I did budget out for that this year, so I'm set to do that. And that's one thing I do give them credit. They told us everything that was coming out this year a year in advance.
Yeah. for sure.
That allowed me to budget. If they didn't do that, I would definitely feel wallet fatigue because I'd be like, really, another set already?
Yeah.
But because they told us last year, I was like, okay, this is the budget I need because I want to buy a collector's box of this and this and this and a set
But then
box
they
of
did the
this
price
and this.
increase.
No, they told us about that last year too.
Did they? Okay.
Yeah, that was why I was surprised when everyone got upset when the price increase happened. I was like, they told us about this. I planned for this because they told us about this like a year ago. Well, maybe not a year. Maybe it was like 6 months, something like that. They did give us a heads up, though, like quite advanced heads up. So we didn't know what the prices were going to be.
Right,
and I think they're okay because, frankly, they can raise the price as much as they want. TCG Player Market will tell you what the price really is. True. Sucks for, small card shops that can't stay in business because of that, but then Magic will adjust. Either that or there won't be that many stores. I'm not sure exactly how that plays out. All I know is I'm buying my boxes for as cheap as I can get them. That's why I watch the prices.
Right.
So, except Double Masters, I bought those at our local shop.
Yeah.
It was nice. It was good to be able to go down there and pick them up.
Absolutely. Are you opening them?
No. I thought about opening one, and then I was like, "No, I don't want to."
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah, I think those will price up nicely over the next year or so.
Oh, absolutely.
And I'm keeping an eye out because a lot of the older stuff is only slowly ticking up. So I'm trying to make sure I have stock of stuff to sell on a regular over a course of a year or so. Right. After long-term time frame kicks in. So that's kind of how I'm doing it. We can talk about that in another podcast.
Yeah. Anything else you want to touch on with Magic?
Only that there's been a few kick in the teeth this year. Commander Legends obviously got really hyped. People were very excited, thought it was going to be crazy. I don't want to be too pointed because I can't say that it was only this, but I definitely think Rudy had something to do with it. He's part of the reason I thought it was going to be such a killer thing because he was sure it was going to be a killer thing. And then Commander he was Legends, like, oh, this is garbage.
The biggest thing.
Yeah, and then he's like, this is terrible. They screwed this up so bad. And maybe he just wasn't paying attention to what was in it because they definitely did reveals for like a month beforehand, But for some reason, it went from, oh, this is going to be amazing to this is garbage, like overnight. And again, I think the D&D thing is very polarizing. I think that's part of it. And then, of course, obviously Double Masters got really hyped, crazy prices for a while there. They are cooling off to more reasonable pricing, but it's still well above your standard kind of box release. That said, it is a specialty product. This is the one a year that they do that's super expensive. So I get it. It doesn't bother me too much, but I can see why it would piss off some people. So I, buy the singles. That's what I'll say. And they'll continue to go down probably over the next month. So you can just do it that way. But Magic's doing the Magic thing. Seems to work the same way every release.
Train keeps
Slight
rolling.
variation. Yep, train keeps rolling.
Right. Yeah. You want to hop into Metazoo?
Yeah, let's do it.
So Metazoo, something John and I were both really hyped on and enjoyed quite a bit. And then, because it seemed like things were actually special, and then everything was special. And everything was a limited release. And then you have the standard sets, which all of them are below MSRP.
Yeah, and I don't even think they're standard, are they? Because then they have the eBay specialty one, they have the NFT one, they have the Walmart special one. You know what I mean? Like it's Nightfall Walmart. What was it? Was it not Nightfall? It was not UFO. What was it? Oh no, Wilderness eBay. Mm-hmm. Like they have special boxes for each type of retailer with different, I guess, chase cards or something in them. I'm not sure how they're differentiated on the inside.
Like an eBay stamp on them.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like I thought it was cool when it was like the NFT thing because like you invested in the game and you got something for that. But now they're doing it for everything. For every new retailer that's selling it, they seem to have a special set. And it's hard to figure out what's what. Like, it's kind of like when I got back into physical Magic, I'm like, what in the world do you even buy? There's so many things.
Well, I mean, yeah, and then you have all these things that LGSs can't even get a hold of.
Yeah, so they're very much left the LGSs behind, in my opinion.
Like the Metapoo set, right? I forget what it was actually called, but it had the Metapoo logo on the stamp on the cards, and they were like the specialty packs, like Christmas and Valentine's, where there's only like a couple packs in it, and there's single cards in the packs, and that was you had to be online and you had to purchase it from their website within like the 2-minute window that it was available because but if you just went to your LGS and you were like a diehard Metazoo fan and you only supported your LGS, like what they were saying is they want to just support the LGS, you might not have even known this was a thing because they announced it in their private Discord. And
I think that's the biggest thing. Yeah. Their entire information flow is only through the Discord, and I have a lot of Discords. I only catch a third of it. I was paying super close attention for the NFT stuff because there's that one card I really wanted to get, which is still my favorite card from Metazoo that I own.
Absolutely.
But other than that, I just looked right before we had this conversation. I was like, oh my God, there's been like 53 announcements and several special things for NFT holders that I just didn't even know about or really care about anymore. Special pin club box, special this box. It's just so much stuff every week. It's too much
now
for me.
They're doing rugs. They did skateboards.
I saw the skateboards. Yeah. They kicked an announcement out through the shop, I think.
Yeah, they do it. They did it for Crypto Nation, Nightfall, and now they're doing it for Wilderness, I think.
At least that one hit my inbox because I bought something from them before.
Mm-hmm.
Like that one I was aware of. But all these other things, no idea. Didn't even know.
Yeah.
Didn't even know.
And then the other difficult thing is a lot of these promo cards that come with these obscure things, they're all tournament legal. They're very low print run. And some of them are pretty powerful.
Oh, super, super powerful.
And so it just, I don't know. It seems to be a are you in the know kind of a game, which is kind of disappointing.
Have you seen? Yeah, it's not for the masses, you know.
And I think it's right. And the game is built on a level that would really support your casual LGS play, even for like younger kids. And that isn't happening. And that's where I kind of imagine the game going. Like pulling in kids that were too cool for Pokemon or like just wanted to be different and not play Pokemon like all the other kids or Yu-Gi-Oh! Or just wanted to.
I think that can still happen if they get there. This is where my concern is. They are wrestling 700 bears simultaneously. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, they're taking on Walmart, they're taking on eBay, they're taking on these big retailers. A lot of people do one of those in a year, maybe two, because it's hard to negotiate it outright and get the shelf space confirmed and solidified and sales through and all this stuff. And they did well with that. I don't know the final results, but I mean, it seemed like Walmarts were selling out and they renewed contracts and stuff. So that's good.
Yeah.
So maybe in a year or two, this settles out, you know, all these different things they're chasing kind of become things solidly. Right. And then it's a regular line. So every 3 months you get a new blister pack at Walmart. Every 3 months you get a new box for your LGS. You know, maybe it becomes a pattern. But as of right now, it's chaos, and it's hard to follow as a fan that can't obsess over their Discord every second of every day. You know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
And so maybe someday it does become the kid thing, you know, that you just described. I think that's possible still. I wouldn't say. I wouldn't count it out yet.
I was just envisioning it by this time being a little closer to that.
Yeah, well, if they had focused only LGS, I think they would have.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't think that's the plan.
Because there's still only one LGS that I know of within driving distance that holds Metazoo stuff. And unfortunately, is a night that I can't do. But
are they still getting new stuff?
Yeah.
Okay, because you remember the whole UFO debacle?
Oh, right. I don't know if they're going to be getting UFO.
That's why I'm curious. I am curious, because that would be sad if you only had the one shop and then they didn't because of all that.
Now that I think about it, they didn't have Wilderness. Maybe, I don't know if they sold out or...
Could have. Yeah. That was pretty hyped set.
I mean, it's a small shop. It's a new shop.
Yeah.
And, but...
Curious, though. And then, of course, there's all the drama around the Discords and the otherwise stuff. Some artificial hyping going on, I guess. More than one shop has stopped selling because of some of the stuff that happened with the community. Yeah. I don't want to speculate on much of that, but it's definitely rumors out there, and you got upset people, you know, people that were super fans.
Oh, absolutely.
So,
but I mean, you can't be responsible for people that are overextend and then get caught.
Sure. Yeah. As long as it's not partially like tied to community management practices. That's where I worry.
Sure. Yeah. And
Because if that's really a thing and that's more than just rumor, then I don't know. That's unfortunate. It's unfortunate.
But
anyways.
Yeah. So hoping Metazoo kind of turns around and does become more of a standard cycle. They need to figure out set expectations of, okay, so every couple months you should expect X, Y, Z.
Yeah.
And I think they should back off of the specialty limited on sale for a couple minutes kind of a thing and sell those through the LGSs. Give the LGSs a reason to carry Metazoo besides boxes that are selling way below MSRP.
Yeah. Either that, or if not that, then they got to ramp up their other channels and make it more solid and understandable.
Yeah, because I mean, if you look at when was the last time you looked at Metazoo singles?
Long time. I don't know.
There's Wilderness is not doing good.
I mean, is that surprising? The print run was huge.
No, but I mean, like, things that were doing well at the beginning, just, I mean, the boxes are at $77.89. The only thing above $20 is the Prismora.
I would not hold that against them. That's how I'll put that, because we are in a market slump where everything in the cardboard space is getting pushed down. So, because even Magic stuff, even like, everything has that same weight on their card prices right now. So I don't know that if I would blame Metazoo for that. What I think it is, honestly, is that they got caught in the shift of the economy, right?
Right.
They planned the print run for this and announced it at 100,000, and it came out right as the economy kind of hit a reverse.
Yeah, they also said that it's always going to be.
Well, I think that's a mistake. I think they should cut it in half going forward until there's a reason to change, because otherwise you are going to have this on every set going forward. Because, until the economy recovers and people have more extra money to spend, you can't expect otherwise. This is how it works.
You grow the player base, you grow the customer base to the point where the demand is there for that much.
Yeah, which ties back to your LGS model, or, if they have a Walmart plan or whatever, making sure that it's huge in Walmart so every kid is begging their parent for a pack. You know what I mean?
Right. And so you have, like, I'll use that store as an example again. They were super into Metazoo. Like, the owners they're Metazoo players. And that's kind of why they started the store, was for Metazoo, coming from Yu-Gi-Oh! So they have a bunch of Yu-Gi-Oh! Singles and some Metazoo singles. And, but, like, that's the only store, and there's a ton of stores in the area, and like most stores don't even have Metazoo, and if they do, they just have like a couple starter decks and whatever the most recent pack is.
Yeah,
and that's it.
I mean, I don't know. Anyway, with a new game, that's what you expect, though, is like the starter kit. There's not going to be a whole lot. I don't know. I find it hard to judge Metazoo poorly on that. I don't think that's on them so much, because they're new. They're still new kids on the block. Now, I think what is on them is that they haven't focused on the LGSs, so you can't expect the LGSs to be doing well with it. You know what I mean? But
right.
I don't know. I don't know that LGSs are what they really are focused on. They've never said, did they? Because they also announced Walmart and eBay partnerships.
Yeah.
Did they say LGSs are always going to be our first and foremost partners?
They pushed that a lot.
I haven't heard that. Maybe I've forgotten. Maybe it was a thing that was, and I just didn't know.
Mike's mentioned it in a lot of his interviews. He views it as very important for the game and for the IP.
Well, they're not doing it.
No.
I can say that much. That's unfortunate.
I mean, it is what it is. I think to wrap up Metazoo, it's just a little chaotic and hectic, and they need to come up with a more consistent plan, not just drop things randomly. Like I saw in their Discord, they were just like, what about Metazoo plates? And it's just like, all right, okay. So what? Eventually, people are just gonna have a Metazoo house. Are you gonna sell Metazoo
Yep.
houses?
100%.
Yeah.
Metazoo everything. Yeah, I agree. The backpacks, the skateboards, the da 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 da. It's always something new, and it's like stop with the new. Let's focus on a few things.
Yeah.
That's an old business adage too. It's like, which honestly isn't the best adage of all the things you can learn in business school, but first, second out. Basically, your top product, your second best product, focus on those, and then anything below that, stop. Like just stop. Yeah. Because you need to be very good at the first two things. Until you're very good at the first two things, don't go expanding into other product lines. Right. There's some negative components to that, especially in the age of social media. It's a very old theory, but it is definitely a thing out there for a reason, because I think companies find it easy to get overexpand, overstretch and reach for things that maybe they aren't very good at doing, Absolutely. And if they don't spend the time to get efficient at the thing, then they continue to struggle. So.
Yeah.
We shall see how it goes. Nightfall boxes are still at 144. I don't remember what they used to be at, but
they were at 200.
Not. Were they? Okay.
144 is below
pretty low.
MSRP.
Oh, I got some on my shelf.
149 was MSRP.
Was it?
Uh-huh. And they said, so basically they said that Nightfall was going to be a little more expensive because of where it was printed and because the boxes glowed in the dark.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah.
And then the other previous boxes were going to go back to 129, and then Wilderness came out and the MSRP was 149.
Wilderness was 149.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't remember that. I only bought like one box, so.
Yeah. I mean, no, I don't think it ever sold for that much.
Yeah.
Pre-order, but
interesting. Well, yeah. We shall see how it goes. But their hype cycle is definitely hard to say anything about because it's all over the place.
Yeah, it needs to.
That's ultimately our main point: is how does your hype cycle work, and how does that reach your customers? And the answer is it's chaotic and very hard to follow what the heck's happening with them.
Yeah, and if we have a hard time following,
yeah.
Okay.
Then your general consumer is going to really struggle.
Right, like we're trying to stay on top of it, and we're struggling compared to people that you're trying to just catch randomly.
Yeah,
I don't think so.
Yeah, it's definitely something that needs to sort out. Yeah. Again, new game, Absolutely. Bad economy. Those two things involved may kick them in the teeth a little bit.
That applies to a lot of the games on this list.
Absolutely. Yeah, exactly. And if they come back from it, then they'll probably be a lot stronger for surviving all this. It's
yeah.
If they don't come back from it, that's a sad situation,
Yeah.
I don't think they're dead. Yeah, no. I think they have enough traction that they're going to keep pushing on. It's just a question of what it looks like on the other side.
Yeah, exactly. But so let's talk about Flesh and Blood.
Well, I'll let you go first.
Yeah. So I really do like the idea that they are switching between core sets and supplemental sets now consistently, so that we do have support for CC for all the classes, and classes don't get too stale, because then if we did 2 core sets and you don't get any cards for your pet deck for a year, you can kind of get bored or maybe trail off.
Yeah, I mean, I dig that too. That's official now. I appreciate that clarity. That's new for LSS, and like it's a big part of what they've done to improve in the last, I'd say, 6 months or so, maybe less. Huge props to them for all the getting ahead of it announcements, because they heard the community saying, like, how am I supposed to go to France if I don't even know where the hell I'm going? And it's like 2 months away, right? Like, those are very legitimate complaints, and LSS reacted is what it boils down to. Because I saw the other day, they're like, we want to let you know ahead of time, this is what we have for the dates for these national events, worlds, etc. Like, they have it semi-planned, and they know they can't give you the full information, but they're trying to get as much into your hands as possible.
So as people can get traveling figured out.
Yeah, I'm like, glorious. That's all you need to say. You can say we don't know yet. We'll accept that as long as you give us what you can. Like, that's huge.
Absolutely.
So, and that's part of their hype cycle, because that's one thing that's interesting. So you have the set hype, and then you have the event hype, and I feel like they're 2 pieces of the beating heart, right? The cycle is very solid. Every was it 6 months or so, we'll say new thing comes out, either a draft set or a supplemental set. That seems to be what we're going to see going forward.
It's every 3 months.
It's not every 3 months, is it?
3 or 4 months.
Is it 4 months? Maybe it's 4 months, because otherwise we'd have 4 sets a year, and we definitely didn't have 4 sets this year.
Then it's every 4 months.
Yeah, 4. That sounds about right. Yeah, because we'll have 3 sets by the end of the year. Yeah. So whatever it is, point being is that it's pretty solid. You know about when it's going to happen even before they announce it, and you also now we have an idea of what it's going to be. The supplemental versus the draft set, which I like that. And then you have the event cycle, which is still chaotic. I'm not going to lie. Absolutely. I still have a hard time tracking the calendar. Part of that's because I'm not competitive. If I was competitive, I bet I would know when everything was going to happen as soon as it happened or was announced. But the other part of it is it's expanding, which is kind of awesome.
Absolutely.
Because if you look back 2 years ago, they didn't even have these types of events, right? Remember, the top tier event was, I think they called it a level 3 event, and now the top tier event's a level 5 event, I think. Mm-hmm. So they have different tiers now that have come into the forefront now that it's gotten big enough.
Right.
And which is why Pro Tour was exciting. It was the very first Pro Tour, and it's a thing that's at that tier. And I don't fully understand it all because I'm not competitive, but it was the first time they did it, and they'll have it continually, probably multiple times a year, going forward. And then you have your nationals, road to nationals. You have your what's it called? Battle Hardened used to be one of the bigger ones, and now it's it's a lower level one. Yeah, skirmish season. Like, it's a lot. There's a lot going on. I still don't fully understand it all.
What I like about it is there's always something going on. You don't necessarily have to get involved with every one, but
Agreed.
But when you are in the mood to hop in and start grinding for something, there's something there to grind for.
Agreed. I think that's actually awesome. At first I was like, this is overwhelming and exhausting, I can't do it, but it's because I was trying to do exactly what you just said. I was trying to be engaged in every single thing. It's like, no,
and for the people that want to do that, they can do that.
Yeah, but just pick your season, man. Pick your season.
Right. But if you're on the more casual side and less competitive, then that's what you can do. You can pick and choose and get excited about XYZ.
Or go to things like Pro Tour and play side events, which was a blast.
Right. Absolutely.
Like, you don't have to worry about like the high end stuff. You can still have fun with it.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, like, now since they announced Road to Nationals on my birthday weekend, I was like, hey, maybe I'll go to Nationals because that's my birthday weekend. Like a good plan. Yeah. But then I looked at the drive and it was like 8.5 hour drive, and I was like, oh,
maybe not.
Because I'm gonna have to do that on Friday night into Saturday morning.
Oh, yeah, that's rough.
Because I don't feel like getting on a plane quite yet. So
wait, where is it?
Charleston, North Carolina.
Right on.
So that's a bit of a drive. But some of the locals are talking about doing a carpool, which might be fun and might make it worth it.
That's our nationals, the U.S. Nationals?
U.S. Nationals.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
Fun.
And then Worlds is California.
Oh, yeah, I did see that announcement.
Which no, thank you. I'm out.
I mean, you'd have to fly to do that. No reason to drive that. Yeah, flying's okay. It's okay. I've done it several times. We'll see. I mean, and this is all coming up, and the next year or so, I think we'll have a very different perspective on a lot of this stuff. But
absolutely.
I mean, I like it, is what I can say. I like the pacing. I'm actually, at first I was a little like, we won't get a draft set, but once a year, maybe twice a year if we're lucky.
It'll switch every other year. So like this year
exactly.
2 supplementals. Next year we'll have 2 draft. And
yeah. And it's like, that's actually kind of good. And the other thing I noticed, I'm not getting worn out. Like, I'm excited for drafting this, and then I'm excited for getting into CC kind of towards the later end of this period, and with these new cards, and then letting that drift into the supplemental set, which will then enhance whatever CC things, I'm doing, right? Yeah. Like, I'm actually like, oh, okay, I can see my pace on how I want to play and what I want to play. And it got me hyped again, because I was a little fatigued. I'll tell you, I was fatigued I was just playing too much, like trying too hard and not seeing results that I wanted. So I was just like, I'm tired of this. Now I'm back into it. Now I'm hyped again. I love it. They got me. Their hype cycle was perfect.
Now, what I think they should do is get more, now that they have these, what I think they did right is they figured out the booster box, figured out that they're testing out the whole 2.0 thing. and now now they can start getting into the supplemental stuff. Like they had the Blitz decks always, but that's just kind of like a side thing that would come with the sets. But now I'd like to see more consistent rollouts of these like classic battles and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like, so do we get one classic battles a year? Do we get them twice a year?
I'm okay with one classic battles a year. I'd also like to see, I don't know what you'd call it, classic wars or something. I don't know. The full decks, CC decks in that same format.
Absolutely.
I think that would be a great product. It would be fun to pick that up. I mean, I'll tell you, I'm a casual Fab player. I love playing it. I like going to my armory and stuff. I don't care that much about winning. When we sat down and played those Blitz decks, that was some of the best flesh and blood fun that I've had in a long time. Just sitting and playing, two goofy little decks against each other. They're not optimized. Who cares? Right. And that's what I liked in Magic, too, for a long time. I just buy all the Commander and just bring those, the precons, and be like, here, everyone take a precon. Let's go.
Yeah.
Like, that's fun. Exactly. It's fun. It's goofy. It's not like super serious. It can't be because no one knows even what's in the deck. And it's fun to do that. So I would love to see a CC product like that where I could take it, go hang out with my sister and be like, here's a deck. Let's go. I took the classic battles down to play against her and we spent the better part of a day and a half playing again and again and again, the same two characters. And it was a blast. It would be great to have a few more of those options. And maybe after doing the Blitz for a while, she'd be comfortable enough to upgrade to a CC situation, which is a very different dynamic, Right.
I hope they do keep the power level kind of consistent so that you can mix and match them.
Yeah, I'm sure that won't happen like all the time, especially in these first few as they try to figure it out. But yeah, I like the idea of it trying to be like you can mix and match any of these, right?
Right.
Not going to be the easiest thing to do as things go. Living Legends and various, there's a lot of factors, and this is not their main focus, but it would be nice to have that sort of thing. I mean, Magic doesn't even do that. It doesn't really matter because you're just like, oh, this is a terrible deck into that deck. I'm going to grab this other one instead.
I mean, the only thing that has me a little upset about the classic battles is I thought it was really cool how it had individual cards in it that like you can't get anywhere else. Like the Mythic for Dorinthia. But now I'm like, wait, but now I may want to build a classic constructed Dorinthia deck. And those cards are like $28 each.
Yep, I got a few.
And the whole box is $35.
You want to buy some? Yep. Yep, I have a few. As soon as they came out and their price dipped at all, I bought them because I was like, these are going to keep going up because I don't know what the print run is on this, but there's not a lot of them out there, and people won't want to buy the whole thing just to get these two cards.
Yeah. But it's holding me back. But that card is so good. I was messing around on a felt table with the Dorinthia CC deck, and
it's killer. That's why I went and got it because I'm like, oh, this is the everything card right here. I think I have 2 play sets or something like that, so we can do a trade if you want.
Absolutely is happening. But yeah, I have my classic battles here with me, and planning on teaching my brother and dad. So
nice, yeah. Let's all know how it goes because I've tried it on 2 different people. They both were able to pick it up. One more enthusiastically than the other, but the one that wasn't super enthusiastic just isn't enthusiastic about competitive card games.
Yeah,
so it had nothing to do with the product. She was like, "Oh yeah, this works. Like I understand what's going on. I don't like it, but I don't like these games." So.
Yeah, I think neither of them really are, but it's one of those things where this is the thing I do in my free time, and do you want to see what it is?
yeah. Let's have some fun. Let's see.
Do you want to understand how I spend my time?
my particular brand of insanity.
But yeah, I think Flesh and Blood is on a good path now. I think 2.0 is super healthy, and I'm super excited about how much of a player's market it is. Because as much as I love speculation and I love collectability in card games, I think they have successfully created a player's market without destroying the collector's market, which is a very challenging thing to do.
I was about to say I'm very excited about how much of a collector's market they've created.
Yeah,
because they have. I mean, they've
successfully done both.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I'm not missing any legendaries. I have all the legendaries. Now I opened a bunch of boxes, but I have all the legendaries now.
But the prices are very reasonable compared to previous sets.
So if I hadn't opened those boxes and I had just spent that money buying. I probably would be about the same place. But it's just one of those things where if you just wanted to build a deck now, like a competitive deck, it wouldn't be that expensive.
Yeah, it's not terrible. It's not
And
terrible.
The only real thing holding it back is like if you're playing Fi, going to go get Mask of Momentum, or Dromai getting the Footsteps.
Right. Yeah, any of the older stuff or they're probably going to reprint them all.
Right.
Just think about it.
Right. And they'll come out in the I mean, if you want a mask, you can get the white border one. And in the next history pack, there'll be Footsteps.
Yeah. So I mean, it's not long till that's solved as well. Like there's sight line to it, and frankly, the Footsteps are only so. You know, they're not terrible. They're not like the end all be all. It's not like historically where you're like you have to have it. You know, yeah.
Or I think Mask is for Fi.
I agree. I think Mask is critical. There's no real way around that, and that is a bit crazy.
Except a lot of people are playing the Lynx Mask into Fatigue, like Oldhim and stuff like that. Because you're never going to get Mask to go off. And so you might as well use it to go fetch the one card.
Right. That makes sense. Interesting.
So in certain matchups where you just will not get Mask off, you just play Lynx.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's fun. It's something to think about. It's evolving. But
It is. But 2.0, doing a good job so far.
Absolutely.
I'm very, very sad to report that some of the more collectible dragons and such have started going up in price. This is way earlier than I thought. I'm hoping that this reverses again and it starts coming down again as people finish building their decks, right? You know, because everyone's in deck building right now. So
I think they will come down. People are buying cards for Road to Nationals now.
Yeah, and just because they're hyped. You know, we are in the midst of the hype bubble of this set, so it's like it's expected to have these sorts of things. But I'm just like, oh no, why?
And as the pre-orders start coming for the next set, these stuff will go down. People will start selling them, and
true.
Yeah,
true. I don't know if I can wait that long though, Tommy. I need my dragons on my shelf.
You don't have to.
Dragons. I need my
dragons.
Buy
the dragons, John. Just buy the dragons.
They keep going up.
Okay. So. Another game that has dragons is Pokemon. I think Pokemon probably has the best hype cycle out of all of these. Basically what they do is every couple of months there's a new set. They show off the big fancy card. They target. I mean, they know what cards are going to be the chase when they release the set. So they show those off first. Everyone gets all excited for it. That card is very hard to pull, so people keep opening it until they get it. So people are opening a lot of their product. Like in the Pokemon Go set, there's the Mewtwo. I guess it has a super high hard pull rate, but it's the one they market with the set all the time. And it is a supplemental set, so it's not like a full... Like I'm talking about the Pokemon Go set. And it is a very small... I think there's only like 30-something cards in the set. But compared to their like 200 normal 150, 200 cards in a set, regular booster box, because Pokemon Go doesn't come in a booster box, unfortunately. But I think they've mastered the hype cycle of when something starts dying down, the new thing comes up. And you kind of have... You first find out what it is, you see the chase card or two, and then they slowly start releasing stuff and showing stuff off. And the cycle never really stops. But there are those kind of in-between times where they will drop like those big plastic ones with promo cards. And they'll drop like they had the Professor Juniper and what's her name? These kind of like almost candy, like, you know, those old Milk Dud boxes? Yeah. So it kind of looks like that, but it comes with like sleeves and a special trainer promo. The most recent one was Professor Juniper. And then they had a Marnie one, which did really well. And those are kind of those are pretty good for collectors because they don't make that many of them. and and people really like the trainer cards. So, and those are the only way to get that trainer card. And it comes with sleeves and a whole kit and packs and stuff like that. So it's a fun box to open, and it's only about like half the price of a booster box. But usually that promo card that comes with them is what is holding most of the value.
Right, that makes sense. Yeah, they definitely have their spread really tightly controlled, and they do the reprints if things get out of hand.
Right, exactly. Like they're putting out a new reprint of Evolving Skies that people thought wasn't going to happen, and you had booster boxes around like 180, and now they're coming down, and they'll come down even more, and like you'll have sets from like multiple years ago. If the boxes get too crazy out of price too soon, they'll just print more.
Yeah,
because they know.
Yeah, they seem to be. Them. Yeah, they seem to be very. I don't know. I can't speak to their consistency, but they seem to be very much paying attention and in control of secondary market insanity with Absolutely. The intention to stop people from scalping, essentially, like buying it all up just to sell at a higher price.
Absolutely.
But not in the intention of hurting collectors. Obviously, things do appreciate. Just skimming through some Pokemon products now, and there's $1,000 booster boxes. You know, they're probably from a decade ago or whatever, exactly. But you know,
because you can't reprint everything.
Of course, yeah, totally.
So they'll probably. I'm not sure how far back they go, but they do go back. Because they were doing Vivid Voltage and Darkness Ablaze, which was kind of the sets that were around the like COVID boom of Pokemon. Like those were the ones that just disappeared. And so they felt bad that people couldn't get them, so they reprinted them. They've spun up new printers so that they can print basically whenever they want, whatever they want.
But, yeah, they bought a printer from what I heard, right? Yeah, so they have very full control, unlike every other TCG who has to schedule time, and it's usually months in advance. They don't have to worry about that. They can say, we're doing this tomorrow, and they can do it tomorrow because they own the printer, which is a very unique position as far as I've heard in TCG space. I don't think anyone else has that kind of flexibility. So that's going to be huge for managing prices and secondary market for them. Absolutely. Going forward, at least. So, pretty interesting stuff. I do worry, again, I've never been very deep into this space. It makes me more hesitant to be a collector there, you know, because I just don't know what the supply is, right? Like that's scary to me as a collector, you know. Absolutely. I don't want to have something sitting on my shelf for 5 years and then suddenly it's worth half the value because they decide to print it again. You know what I mean? Like,
right. I mean,
that's time and money invested over a long period.
That's doing what you said they're trying to do. They're trying to keep those people out. And so
they're trying to keep scalpers out, not collectors. That was my understanding. Of course, this is all.
I think they want the collectors to be single collectors.
That's fair. That's probably true. Yeah, that's actually probably true because that has been their whole thing, like forever.
Yep.
Got to catch them all.
Exactly. From the beginning.
So what you're saying is, in 5 years, I open the booster boxes on camera and sell singles.
No.
5
years, the booster boxes will be worth more than you're gonna pull.
Oh, okay. So they aren't collectors. They're not for the singles collectors. We'll see.
When the sets come out, they're for the single collectors. After a long period of time, then it becomes about the sealed, because then you have the Gambler's Premium.
Yeah, I only have a few, so I'm not too worried about it.
No, and
they don't even take up that much room. That's one of the things I love about Pokemon. When I saw that, I opened it. I was like, "Oh, look at these boxes! They're so tiny."
Yeah. Well, except for the like Elite Trainer boxes.
Oh my God! Yes,
those things can get massive.
Yeah, I have 2 of those that are too big, and that makes me sad all the time.
Yep. Let's see.
Did I mention I'm working on my shelf again?
Yeah.
Clearly in the forefront of my head. How big is this box? How many of these can I fit? What am I going to do with these boxes?
Yeah, I've been working on my shelf as well. Cleaning up, tidying up, moving things around. But making it more useful.
Yeah.
So we'll see. But yeah, anything else you want to touch on with Pokemon? I think they just need to keep the course because it's working.
Yeah. I mean, they've always been a pretty solid bedrock of the TCG space and interesting. And eventually I'll learn enough where I'll feel more comfortable getting in and out. I mean, like I said, I have some exposure. I've touched it. But since it's such a cornerstone of the entire universe of this stuff, like Magic and Pokemon are they're the behemoths. Like you can't ignore them. Both of them are going to keep going no matter what we do. And if you want exposure, it seems like something you need to understand to a degree. So getting there. It'll take me some time. Pokemon will probably be one of the last things I go into with any seriousness, but not for lack of thinking it's a good thing to go into. You know what I mean? Just lack of knowledge.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, if anything, it's just kind of when no one's talking about the set is the time.
That's what I've been watching. I've been watching for the dead sets, and that's where I bought the ones I got. Is they were considered dead sets. They've all appreciated since I bought them. So
absolutely,
I got a bunch of things for like 85, and I don't think anything's 85 right now. So pretty good steals.
And yeah, but next up, we're going to talk about Sorcery. It's gone very quiet.
Very quiet.
Not too much to talk about it because it is very quiet and it's not even out yet. So the next two games are not out yet. So we can kind of only hypothesize what their hype cycles are going to be. It seems like Sorcery is going to be like a once a year box, if I remember correctly.
That's correct.
And so they will have that hype cycle and then it will become very quiet. And then hopefully it survives the year, and then another hype cycle will continue. That's something that'll be very interesting. So it isn't like other card games where you have the constant need for a hype cycle. It's kind of. But
I don't know. I don't know if anyone's ever tried this before.
Yeah, I think it's pretty risky.
A very interesting business model, and we'll have to see how it goes. I mean, I have full confidence in the founder and the developer of the game. From the game perspective, he's pretty savvy business wise too, had some success in multiple industries, so I think he can probably figure it out if he hasn't already. And ultimately, if you think about there's like board games that have legacy or seasons, they get money every year. I mean, what we were just talking about last week, Marvel Dice Throne, every year there's new stuff for it, right? Yeah. And people buy it every year. And so it's kind of like a hybrid of that and your classic collectible TCG world. Yeah. With the big variance being that when you buy a box, you don't necessarily get everything.
Right.
Right? Unlike when you buy the Marvel thing, you get everything. Like, you don't have to worry about not having the right hero in there, right?
Right. But, I mean, maybe it's one of those things where there are different kind of collectors and players, and some people will just be maybe they'll come out with like the starter decks each time, and then you just buy the starter decks, and that's like your new Dice Throne group thing.
Yeah, if they do that, and again, we don't know, it's early yet. I think it's very interesting how much hype they got, how big they got, how fast they got there, and then they explicitly disappeared. I mean, they said essentially they're like, we have these giveaways after the Kickstarter, but then we're just going to be hard at work getting to release date,
which is what they should be doing.
I was going to say, and they have been. They announce a few things here and there in the Discord. It's one of the Discords I do actually look in on every once in a while. And there's just not that much, which is fine, because they're at work trying to get this thing done and out the door to us, the backers. So I am very intrigued to see how this plays out. The fact that Rudy's going to have it as well, like, how's that going to play? Because he's, once a year. I have a hard time imagining Rudy once a year on something.
Yeah. But I mean, if that's all there is.
Of course, yeah, that's what I mean. That's how is that going to play? I don't fully grasp it. I think it's neat, but I am intrigued to see how it plays out. Very different than everything else we've talked about.
Right.
Other than that, we don't got much more to say because there ain't much more to say about it.
No,
there's just not a lot of info yet.
No, and the last one we have on our list is Grand Archive. So this is one we're very excited about. Both this and Sorcery should be due out in September. Ish.
Yeah, around in the fall. Yeah, time frame. They both said ish.
Yeah,
like give us a break. Cardboard's hard right now.
The world's totally hard right now.
Yeah, exactly.
I understand, and I want them to come out when they're ready, and I want them to have a successful launch because both of these Kickstarters are beginning the game.
Yeah. Yep.
But with Grand Archive, I can see them coming out with a lot. They've already dipped their toes into subsidiary or like other products, which is kind of exciting, but they're products that make sense, like deck boxes, card sleeves, stuff like that, like stuff that will enhance the game, playmats. So nothing like, it's not like Metazoo where they're coming out with rugs and skateboards and stuff
Unrelated
like that. Yeah,
products.
they're coming out with products that will enhance the experience of playing the game.
And they did get rid of the NFTs, which I think was a good move.
Yeah, yeah. So they did back away from that. I wouldn't be opposed. See, the way they were doing it, I was actually kind of excited, and I hope they do. Like if the stance on NFTs changes, is there a world where you can have NFTs that are just worth like a couple bucks?
Yeah, absolutely. And to be fair, they were trying to do it like a video game, right? Like replicas in digital format, which is an interesting and very viable use case for NFTs. I've talked about it before. There's NFTs that make sense and there's NFTs that make no sense. Most NFTs make no sense. That can make sense done well. Right. The hard part is doing it well, which is super bad in a time like it was when they were trying to do it, which is the middle of the NFT bubble. Post that period, the survivors will produce the tools that are actually good for good and viable NFTs. So call it another year or two. Maybe they can revisit and it will make sense and not be absurd.
Right, because they are planning. One of the things that has me very excited about this, I think this is going to be the digital game that I play a lot.
I'm with you on that.
Now,
I like that idea a lot.
I'm still in on collecting the physical card games. I do not see stores in my area rushing to start playing this. I could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong, but I'm doubtful. And they are planning a digital release of the game, which is very exciting because that's how I think I'll be playing it more. It is on TTS now. That's where we've been playing it. Mm-hmm. But the idea of like having your Magic Arena collection and being able to sell your cards or trade your cards just seems super interesting. Like how your digital card library collection has some value.
Yeah, it's a thing that's inevitable. There's a few of them that already exist, and it's a thing that some IP, some game producer that has a really good game will succeed with. It just hasn't happened yet because I think it's mostly the people who have built it are mostly NFT people that then threw a game on top of it. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so it's not as well thought out, whereas a game developer with a game design mentality that makes NFTs work, which again, the tech has to get to a point where it's easy enough to back into that, and it isn't yet. It's getting there, but it's not there yet. When that happens in a few years, like I said, I think that's when you'll see it. Maybe before. It's possible it happens before someone figures it out first, but one of the very first versions of this was a type of a card game. The first NFT. It was a proof case for the actual like how the software works.
Right.
It was like a kind of a mini card game. It was garbage. Like the game was a kind of BS excuse that was thrown on top of the NFT technology just to prove you could do something like that. But that's been around since the very beginning. But again, never been designed by a designer of games, you know?
Right. Of course.
So, yeah. When that happens, I think we will see a different world where collectibles are heavily digital. But I think we have some time until we get there. And again, there's probably going to be a crossover. A little bit of this, a little bit of that. Some people will like the cardboard.
Yeah.
I can't imagine Flesh and Blood ever going that route.
No, I mean, they've been pretty stern against it.
Exactly.
But then that draws two different crowds.
So. It does. And I'm up for it. That's actually, I would say, as much as I love playing Flesh and Blood in person, I've more than once wish I had an online client where I could just jump in and test a piece of tech against like random strangers again and again and again, just to get a feel for it and say, okay, this works, or no, this is horrible, instead of waiting until the next time I can play someone in real life.
Right. Or even on TTS can be hard.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. Even on TTS, like someone I know personally, as opposed to some random and the millions of people out there that want to play at this very moment, you know?
Right, exactly. But yeah.
Do you know anything about the release cycle? Only thing I know is that they're releasing Grand Archive, like called Fall or whatever. The full release is in Q1, and then a new product or a supplemental product is Q2. Something like that.
I believe so.
I could be wrong on that.
Yeah.
I heard something about that from Red Zone Rogue. Check out he's got a recent video on it.
Yeah, the latest.
I think he said that.
Yeah, that might be new. Because they have the two starter decks, like they're gonna have a classic battles kind of thing from the get-go, which I think is very important and very good. And then you're gonna have the first box, the Kickstarter box, come out this fall, and then the main release wave Q1. And the last I heard that they were focusing on that, and then once they get done with that, they will start thinking about new things, which I think is the right thing. Don't think about thing 2 before you're done with thing 1. But yeah, so that's news to me. But
yeah, I think they have started working on the next set, which will be the following.
Which makes sense because the number 1 is at the printer. So
yeah, exactly. It may end up being. So this will be interesting. He even made a comment when he said it. He's like, "Ooh, that's aggressive Q1 to Q2, like immediately right after." So I'm curious if it's Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4, like supplemental main, something like that, or if it's
Q1, Q2, another dual deck with the other 2.
No, he said it's a supplemental. It has a specific name, but it's like a supplemental set. That was one thing he called out explicitly. Now I don't know where he's getting this information or any of that, but
he works directly
definitely
with
interesting. What's that? He does. That's right. That's right. I forgot about that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he revealed the wizard, Merlin.
Oh, that's right. That's right. He did mention that. So we'll see how that one goes. I'm with you. I think I'll play it more digitally than physically. I don't think I'm going to be trying to buy every single set.
No.
I will say I originally looked at it and I was like, anime card game, not really into it. And then I played it. It seems pretty cool.
Yeah,
it seems pretty cool. They have an interesting game mechanic. I can get over the art for a fun game, and it seems like a fun game.
Yeah.
And there's nothing like wrong with the art. It's just not my
no,
style.
And it's not too lewd.
No, it's fine.
In comparison to other card games out there.
Yeah, I got over it. Yeah. I was a little worried at first, but then I played it a little bit, and I was like, okay. Mm-hmm. Most of these are reasonable.
Yeah. But, yeah, so I think that kind of covers the games that we wanted to talk about their hype cycle about. Everything's in somewhat of a limbo with the way the world is right now. But this is where things happen. This is where games disappear. This is where games have to prove themselves to stick around. And I think it'll be a really interesting next 12 months to see what happens, who's still here.
Yeah, I think just kind of a touch on one thing more broadly. It's, we're in an economic downturn, which will probably last for another 6 months or more. And we're in a summer, which this is now the second summer in a row where card games got quiet and kind of had downward pressure on them, right? So I actually do think it's a business cycle to a degree because people post-COVID want to go out and have vacations and do things. You know what I mean? Absolutely. So they're trying to get away from being in front of their computers because even though we're quote unquote post-COVID, we still play very COVID safe, Right. So you still have this like weird economy where people take the summer to get out because it's safer, it's easier, it can be outdoors, etc. And I think we just see a quietness in this sort of space during that period. And then on top of that, you have the economic issues.
Right.
I don't want to like bet money on it, but I'd probably bet like $100 on it that come fall, towards December period, basically that whole quarter, we'll be back booming, hyped up, buying stuff, excited to, you know what I mean? I don't know that we'll see the same kind of price hype and bubble that we've seen in the past, but I do think we will see way more interest and attention to things going into that fall period because frankly, that's a normal retail cycle. Right. Fall is when you sell into Christmas,
Right.
So who wins, we'll find out during that time. Who, excels and actually accelerates into the next year, we'll find out during that time. Until then, we won't really know, but it's one of those things where it's like, okay, let's see. Like all the horses are at the starting line, right? And they're all kicking and ready to go. And come fall, post-August, I imagine, we'll see which ones get off the starting line the fastest and how interesting it is.
Absolutely.
I'm excited to see because we have multiple products coming out, both in older games and brand new games, all at the same time around that period. So
yeah.
It's going to be a tough time for my wallet. It's already crying.
Well, it'll get a break during the summer for a bit.
Well, that's true. I mean, that's why I haven't budgeted.
Yeah.
Budgets are good, man.
Budgets are important. But
cool.
Yeah. Anything else? I mean, quickly go over videos we've put out. We're going to put out another. This might be our last top 5 pick that you can comment on. It'll come out Tuesday. if we don't hit 200 subs before then. So make sure you are watching our top 5, leaving the comment to enter 200 sub giveaway for that King in Black comic. We'll put out our market update like we do every week. This week might be a little light with me away, but we shall see if I have time to put some stuff together or not.
Yep, definitely have a market update. I will do 2. It seems the 2.0 kind of followed 2.0 news.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, a lot of people enjoyed it. I got a number of comments, so I think I'm going to keep pushing on that. Help me out in the comments if you're still listening, and I'll ask it when I do the next one too. How can I do that once I'm out of boxes to open? Because right now that's a perfect background to talk about that stuff, but I'm not going to just pay $100 every episode to open a box that I don't need cards for,
What about just sorting cards? You just sorting cards. That's kind of boring.
And I also don't have that much to sort. I'm pretty organized. I'll be honest.
When you run out of boxes,
all my uprising is already sorted, and
I'll drop off a box of cards for you to sort.
To sort for you? Oh, great! Yeah, all right. Maybe that's the answer. I don't know.
My commons and yours.
Yeah, leave a comment. Let me know what you think would be good background to talking about the market. We'll keep the data one going. That should stay on Thursdays. The other one will go on Wednesday, I think, is what I'm going to end up doing for the news one until I'm out of boxes and news. Either way, we'll see which one hits first. Cool.
All right. Well, that does it for this week's podcast. Join us next week when we talk about more cardboard and comic book things.
Yeah.
So, have a good one.
See you next time.